Your ancestors spent 200,000 years evolving to find a mate in a tribe of 150 people. You're trying to do it with access to millions through a screen. Your brain is running Stone Age software on a digital operating system. And it's crashing. Hard. You swiped through hundreds of faces in minutes. Your great-great-grandmother saw maybe 50 potential partners in her entire lifetime. You wonder why you can't commit, why nobody feels right, why dating feels exhausting and empty. It's not you, it's not them. It's the fundamental mismatch between how you're wired and how you're forced to operate. Modern dating is a biological disaster, and nobody wants to admit it because that would mean confronting uncomfortable truths about human nature. You're supposed to believe that love is limitless, that preferences are just social constructs, that attraction is about personality and connection, not biology and evolution, that if you just work on yourself enough, find the right app, use the right openers, you'll find your person. It's all a lie designed to sell you courses, subscriptions, and false hope. The truth, your brain was designed for a world that no longer exists. A world where you knew everyone in your community. Where social reputation mattered because you couldn't just disappear to the next town. Where mate selection happened through social networks, not algorithms. Where commitment was enforced by social pressure and limited options. You're a hunter-gatherer trying to navigate a world of infinite choice. And infinite choice breaks the human pair bonding mechanism. Completely. Every dating app is built on the same lie. More options equal better outcomes. But evolutionary psychology tells us the opposite. More options create decision paralysis, comparison addiction, perpetual dissatisfaction, the constant belief that someone better is just one swipe away. This isn't pessimism, this is biology. And until you understand the evolutionary forces driving modern dating dysfunction, you'll keep blaming yourself for a system that's fundamentally incompatible with human nature. So let's break down exactly why dating is broken. Not from a moral perspective, not from a people these days perspective, from a cold, scientific, evolutionary perspective, because once you see the mismatch, you can't unsee it. In 1995, psychologist Barry Schwartz conducted an experiment. He gave one group of people 6 options for jam to sample. He gave another group 24 options. The group with fewer choices was 10 times more likely to actually buy jam. More options didn't lead to better decisions. It led to paralysis and regret. Now apply this to dating. You open an app. You have access to thousands of potential partners. Your lizard brain sees this abundance and thinks you've hit the genetic lottery. Surely with this many options, you'll find the perfect match. But your brain wasn't designed to evaluate thousands of options. It was designed to evaluate a handful. In your ancestral environment, you had maybe 10 to 20 realistic potential partners in your age range and social circle. You picked the best option from that pool. You committed. You made it work. Today, you're comparing everyone to everyone. This person is attractive but not funny enough. That person is funny but not ambitious enough. This one checks all the boxes but something feels off. You keep swiping, searching for someone who doesn't exist. The perfect combination of every attractive trait from every person you've encountered. Psychologists call this maximizing. You're trying to find the absolute best option rather than accepting a good option. But in dating, maximizing is a trap, because there's always another profile, another potential connection, another person who might be slightly better. Your great-grandparents didn't have this problem. They met someone decent in their village or through friends. They dated, they got married, they built a life. Was it perfect? No. But it was stable, because they weren't constantly wondering if someone better existed in the next village over. You are, and it's destroying your ability to bond. Evolutionary psychologists call this the mismatch hypothesis. Modern environments activate ancient psychological mechanisms in dysfunctional ways. Your brain sees unlimited options and concludes, why settle? In the ancestral environment, that strategy made sense if you were a high-status male. You could afford to be choosy because options were genuinely limited and you had access to the best ones. But today, everyone has access to everyone. The illusion of unlimited options creates the psychology of unlimited standards. Men swipe through hundreds of women waiting for a supermodel who's also a tradwife. Women swipe through hundreds of men waiting for someone 6'3", who's also emotionally available and makes 6 figures. These people don't exist in the numbers you need them to, but the apps keep feeding you just enough possibilities to keep you searching. Just enough matches to keep you subscribed. Just enough hope to prevent you from accepting reality and choosing someone real. The paradox of choice doesn't just make you indecisive. It makes you incapable of satisfaction, because no matter who you're with, your brain knows that with one swipe, you could access someone different, maybe better. Probably not. But maybe, and that maybe destroys relationships before they even start. For 99% of human history, mate selection worked like this. You knew someone's entire history before considering them as a partner. You knew their family, their reputation, their social standing, their behavior over years. Their friends vouched for them or warned you away. Strangers were dangerous. Trusting someone you didn't know could get you killed. So humans evolved elaborate social screening mechanisms. Courtship took time. Families were involved. Communities observed. Commitment came with social enforcement. Now, you know nothing about the person except what they choose to show you in 6 photos and a 100-character bio. You're making mate selection decisions based on less information than your ancestors used to decide if someone was safe to trade with. And you wonder why so many first dates feel like catfishing. Men evolved to prioritize visual signals of fertility, youth, hip-to-waist ratio, facial symmetry, clear skin. These were reliable indicators in an environment where you saw people in person and Photoshop didn't exist. Now every photo is filtered, angled, and optimized. The woman in the profile looks nothing like the woman who shows up. Not because she's intentionally deceptive, because the technology allows artificial enhancement of the exact signals men evolved to respond to. Women evolved to prioritize signals of resources, status, and commitment ability. But in ancestral environments, those signals were hard to fake. If a man said he was a good hunter, the tribe knew if that was true. If he claimed high status, his position in the social hierarchy was observable. If he promised commitment, the community would hold him accountable. Now, every man's dating profile makes him sound like a successful, emotionally intelligent, adventure-seeking gentleman. The signals women evolved to detect actual demonstrated behavior over time are replaced with curated highlights. The guy who posts gym selfies and quotes about loyalty might spend 16 hours a day gaming and cheating on every girlfriend he's had. You can't tell, because the screening mechanisms your brain evolved to use don't work through a screen. Both sexes are essentially flying blind, making decisions based on artificially enhanced signals that no longer correlate with the qualities they're actually trying to assess. Then there's the commitment problem. In ancestral environments, commitment was enforced externally. Your tribe watched you. If you cheated, everyone knew. If you abandoned a partner or children, social consequences were severe. You couldn't just move to another city and start over. Your reputation followed you forever in a small community. Modern dating has no enforcement mechanism. You can ghost someone with 0 consequences, cheat and just block them, string along multiple people because nobody's social circles overlap enough to catch you. The external pressures that make commitment sustainable are gone, so you're left with only internal motivation to stay faithful and committed. And internal motivation alone wasn't enough in the ancestral environment. That's why social enforcement evolved in the first place. Humans needed external accountability because our evolutionary incentives often conflict with long-term pair bonding. Men evolved to desire sexual variety. Women evolved to desire the highest status mate they could attract. Both of these drives worked fine in small communities with social regulation. They're disasters in anonymous modern cities, where you can pursue those drives with no accountability. Dating apps didn't create these problems. They just removed every environmental constraint that kept these drives in check, and without those constraints, the whole system falls apart. Evolutionary psychology reveals an uncomfortable truth. Men and women have different mating strategies, and modern dating amplifies those differences into open conflict. Men's reproductive success historically depended on access to multiple partners. One man could theoretically have hundreds of children, so evolution favored men who pursued quantity, spread genes widely, invest minimally in each offspring unless pair bonding benefits outweighed costs. Women's reproductive success was limited by biology. 9 months of pregnancy, years of nursing, decades of child-rearing. One child was a massive investment. So evolution favored women who pursued quality, find the highest value mate possible, secures investment and protection. These strategies are incompatible, but in ancestral environments, they reached equilibrium through social constraints. Monogamous marriage, slut-shaming, shotgun weddings, paternal investment requirements. None of this was fair, much of it was oppressive, but it created a framework where both sexes compromised their optimal evolutionary strategy. Modern dating demolished that framework, and what emerged is evolutionary strategies running wild with no constraints. Dating apps create a winner-take-all market. Studies show that on Tinder, the top 10% of men receive 60% of all female attention. The top 30% of men receive 90%. The bottom 50% of men receive almost nothing. Women's hypergamous instinct selecting mates of higher status made sense in small groups. Aim high, settle for the best available. But when available includes thousands of options, women's perception of what's attainable becomes distorted. They're matching with high-status men, but those men aren't committing. They're exercising their evolutionary drive for variety because they finally can. So you get this dynamic, average women matching with above-average men for casual sex, but those men won't commit because they have too many options. Women then complain that men don't want relationships anymore. But it's not all men. It's the small percentage of men who have access to multiple women. The majority of men can't even get matches. Meanwhile, average men are invisible. They're competing for attention from women who are getting matched with men out of their league. So these women's standards are calibrated to the top tier they're exposed to, not the average men actually available for relationships. This creates mutual frustration. Men feel invisible and rejected. Women feel used and discarded. Both are right. Both are experiencing the consequences of an evolutionary mismatch. In a small tribe, everyone paired off at roughly equivalent value. You couldn't hold out for someone way above your level because that person had better options and you both knew it. Social pressure and limited options created realistic standards. Now women can swipe through hundreds of profiles and match with highly attractive men. Those men will sleep with them, but they won't commit. Because why would they? They have 20 other matches who look just as good. So these women wait and wait for one of these high-value men to commit. Meanwhile, average men are ignored. Relationships don't form. Birth rates collapse. Everyone's miserable. This isn't a moral failing. This is evolutionary psychology running on modern technology. And nobody wants to admit it because the solutions would require restricting choice, which goes against everything modern culture believes. Your grandparents dated for months before having sex, not because they were prudish, because delayed gratification created investment and screening. Courtship was a filtering mechanism. If a man spent months taking a woman on dates, meeting a family, being seen in public with her, he was demonstrating commitment ability. If he disappeared after sex, the community knew. His reputation suffered. Future women wouldn't trust him. If a woman made a man wait, she was screening for patience and genuine interest. Players wouldn't invest that much time. They'd move on to easier targets. Men who stayed were showing something real. This system wasn't perfect. It was often sexist and restrictive, but it solved a biological problem. How do you screen for long-term compatibility when short-term sexual attraction is immediate? Modern dating destroyed this. Sex happens on the first date, sometimes before the first date, and everyone pretends this is liberation, progress, freedom from outdated norms. But evolutionarily, immediate sex undermines pair bonding. Oxytocin and vasopressin, the bonding hormones, get released during sex. They're designed to create attachment, but when you're having sex with multiple people in short succession, you're diluting that bonding mechanism. Your brain stops associating sex with exclusive attachment. Men evolved to bond through prolonged courtship and consistent sexual access to one partner. Women evolved to bond through demonstrated investment and emotional connection over time. When you skip courtship and go straight to casual sex, you're bypassing the mechanisms that create lasting bonds. The result? People in their 30s who've had dozens of sexual partners but have never been in a committed relationship. They've trained their brains to associate sex with novelty, not bonding. They've conditioned themselves to get a dopamine hit from new partners, not from deepening connection with one person. And they wonder why they can't fall in love, why relationships feel boring after 3 months, why they're always looking for the next exciting thing. You've hijacked your own pair bonding mechanism. Sex without courtship is like eating without hunger. The pleasure is there, but the function is broken. Your ancestors understood this instinctively. They knew that investment creates value, that delayed gratification builds anticipation, that social observation during courtship screens out bad actors. You threw all of that away for the illusion of freedom. And what you got instead is a generation of people who can't bond, who treat potential life partners as disposable entertainment, who wonder why dating feels empty, because you removed the evolutionary function and kept only the dopamine hit. You turned mate selection into a game optimized for short-term pleasure and abandoned the long-term mechanisms that actually create lasting partnerships. Courtship wasn't oppression. It was adaptive. It worked with human psychology instead of against it. Modern dating does the opposite. Dating apps are designed to fail, not accidentally, intentionally, because successful users stop being users. If you found your person on Tinder, you'd delete the app. You'd stop paying for premium features. You'd stop viewing ads. You'd stop generating data. From a business perspective, you becoming happy is the worst possible outcome. So the apps are optimized to keep you searching, not to help you find. Every feature is designed to exploit your evolutionary psychology for profit. The swipe mechanism hijacks your reward circuitry. Every profile is a potential mate. Your brain gets a dopamine hit with each swipe, wondering if this one will be the one. It's slot machine psychology. Variable ratio reinforcement, the most addictive pattern in behavioral psychology. In ancestral environments, seeing a potential mate triggered careful evaluation. You'd observe them over time. Consider their suitability. Make a decision. The modern equivalent would be seeing one profile a day and really thinking about it. Instead, you're swiping through 100 profiles in 5 minutes. Your brain is in constant evaluation mode. Decision fatigue sets in. Everyone starts to blur together. You stop seeing humans and start seeing products you're shopping for. The match creates artificial scarcity. In real life, if you were attracted to someone and they smiled at you, you'd approach them. The interaction would begin naturally. On apps, you need a mutual match first. So you're both constantly wondering, did they swipe right on me? This creates anxiety and investment in strangers you never met. You're emotionally invested in whether someone you know nothing about found your photos acceptable. It's status signaling and rejection sensitivity on steroids. Then there's the messaging phase. In person, you know within 30 seconds if there was chemistry. You'd see their body language, hear their voice, feel the vibe. On apps, you're texting for days or weeks, building up expectations that rarely match reality. 70% of app matches never result in meeting, because texting creates a false sense of connection. You're bonding with your imagination of who this person is, not who they actually are. Then you meet and realize the fantasy doesn't match the reality. Disappointment. Back to swiping. The apps know this. They could implement features that get people meeting faster, video verification before matching, required phone calls before messaging, anything that filters for actual chemistry instead of text compatibility. But they don't, because the longer you stay in the messaging phase, the more you use the app, the more ads you see, the more likely you are to pay for features that supposedly increase your chances. You're not the customer, you're the product. Your loneliness and desire for connection are being monetized. The app profits from your failure to find lasting connection. Every design choice reflects that incentive structure. And the worst part, you know this. Everyone knows this, but you keep using the apps. Because what's the alternative? Meeting people in real life? Nobody does that anymore. The apps have created the problem they claim to solve. You can't fix modern dating. The forces that broke it are too powerful. Technology, economics, and culture have aligned against traditional pair bonding. Reversing that would require society-wide changes that aren't happening. But you can opt out. Stop optimizing for options. Start optimizing for connection. That means deleting the apps. Accepting that you'll meet fewer people. Understanding that scarcity creates value. Join communities, hobbies, sports, volunteer work, church if that's your thing. Any repeated social setting where you see the same people over time. This recreates the ancestral environment where mate selection actually worked. Let relationships develop slowly. Stop sleeping with people immediately, not because of morality, because delayed gratification is the only screening mechanism you have left. If someone won't invest time in getting to know you, they're not serious. Filter them out early. Choose commitment when you find someone good enough, not perfect, good enough. Because perfect doesn't exist. Your ancestors didn't marry perfect partners. They married compatible ones and built something together. Modern dating sold you the lie that your soulmate is out there waiting, that if you just search long enough, you'll find them, but soulmates aren't found. They're created through years of shared experience, conflict resolution, and mutual investment. Stop comparing your relationship to fantasy alternatives. The person you're with isn't competing against perfect strangers. They're a real human with flaws. So are you. Accept that. Work with that. Build with that. And if you're single, stop treating dating like shopping. You're not browsing for a product. You're trying to find another human to share life with. That requires vulnerability, patience, and realistic standards. Your brain is wired for a world that doesn't exist anymore. You can't change that. But you can stop letting technology exploit it. You can create constraints that work with your psychology instead of against it. Modern dating is broken, but individual relationships don't have to be. You just have to stop playing the broken game. 200,000 years of evolution didn't prepare you for dating apps, for unlimited choice, for commitment-free casual sex, for algorithmic mate selection, for any of this. Your ancestors faced scarcity. You face abundance, and abundance breaks the psychological mechanisms that were designed for scarcity. This isn't about morality. This isn't about tradition. This is about biology. Your brain has needs that modern dating can't meet. Connection requires time, familiarity, and social context, none of which exist on apps. You can keep doing what you're doing. Keep swiping. Keep hoping the next match will be different. Keep wondering why nothing feels right. Or you can accept that the system is broken and stop participating in it. Build real social networks, meet people through shared activities, let attraction develop naturally over time. Choose commitment over options. The technology isn't going away, but you don't have to let it control your life. You can opt out. You can build something real with someone real. Modern dating is broken. That's not your fault. But staying in the broken system, that's a choice, and you can make a different one.